Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of the Privacy Rules Privacy Espresso. Today, I'm here with Siyanna Lilova, CEO of CuratedAI. Siyanna is also a lawyer, of course, in the field of data protection and technology. And as you may understand from the name of our company, we are going to deal with AI, and in particular, generative AI and law, which are the possibilities and risks, in particular under the legal perspective, in using this type of artificial intelligence. And I would also like to inform you that Siyanna is going to have a webinar in 1 week, more or less from now, 24th of January at 4 p.m. You will find all the details in the description of this Privacy Espresso. So I invite you all to watch it to learn more about this topic that we will just open today. But I'm sure that Siyanna and her colleagues will go deeper into it. So first of all, Siyanna, thanks a lot for being with us for this quick recording together with me.
Of course. Thanks a lot for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So can you give us, a brief overview on how the generative AI technology is used in the day-to-day legal work in particular?
Of course. I mean, at this point, I think almost everyone has tried to use generative AI in one shape or another. And especially when it comes to legal, the opportunities are quite big because the whole idea is you're using vast amount of text to create new information. So the application with legal can go into quite a lot of different areas. The ones that are the most kind of famous use cases are, I think, first of all, summarization, which a lot of people would appreciate when you have large amounts of, for example, like a very long judgment or several judgments. You can immediately get very quick summaries, very quick overviews, and even comparison between documents. So summarization, also extraction of information, again, from very long texts, being able to, let's say, get insights from different legislative proposals could be really interesting use case. On top of that, we have things, of course, like content generation. So the ability to actually already start drafting things like contracts, for example, legal memos. It could be things even like policies, advice. I think a lot of people already are using generative AI for emails, for client emails, or for things like that. So a lot of value can be found also in drafting, in creating new content. And another big thing is actually kind of Q&A type of interaction. So asking questions in like natural language, so as if you would kind of to a friend or to a colleague, and then getting a response that's kind of in the same vein as well. And the really key here is when you're able to do that based on like a specific knowledge base or a specific text. So these are kind of the main applications on which on top of that you can grow and do things like building argumentations or reasonings or things like that. So these are the more complex kind of things that you can build upon. And actually, I think I read there is this like Goldman Sachs report that said that about like 44% of all legal tasks actually might be automated by generative AI, which is something to keep in mind, and something that usually begs the question, okay, are lawyers going to lose their profession? What is going on if so many tasks are going to be automated? But in my opinion, that's kind of a misguided way to look at the topic, because I think the real value of AI is actually the opportunity to free up time that lawyers are spending on low kind of input and time consuming work. And what I think is really useful, especially for data protection and technology lawyers, because this is also kind of the audience and this is what I have experience in, is actually using technology to get on top of everything that has been going on. Because, in our field, you have so much new regulations, so many new cases, all of these things that are happening on an EU level, that almost everyone that I talk to is like, it's impossible to keep on top. It's impossible to know what's happening and how it's actually going to apply to our clients. So this is something that's actually really difficult to do without technology. And on top of that, you have the layer that in the EU, everything is in different languages. So if you actually want to know and research things in different national legislation, so that actually is really difficult as well. So this goes to show that there are a lot of applications which kind of, in my opinion, are going to, in the following years, become almost indispensable for legal professionals.
Thanks, Siyanna, for this quick overview that gives us definitely a better understanding on, which can be the usage of such type of tools. And you're saying many things that we, of course, agree on. First of all, that those type of tools can be useful for lawyers. It's more something in support of them, and we should all be, as lawyers, I'm a lawyer as well, of course, should all learn how to use those type of tools in order to provide better services than to our clients. That's the main idea behind. But speaking about all those usages that you've been providing some details on, I'm pretty sure that there can be also some legal risks in using them. So my question to you that have been studying this deeply, and I think that we will also be speaking about the last point you were touching before, about what your company is working on. But before that, which are the legal risks and the implication in using those tools?
As lawyers, of course, we always go towards the risks, and that's completely reasonable to do, especially when it comes to AI and to using it to research and to help your clients, of course. So one of the few most common kind of risks around the implementation of AI, and especially in legal tools, are kind of the following. So first, we have the so-called intellectual property risks, which is the fact that some uses of AI can lead to infringements of copyright, of trademarks, and also, very, very importantly, misuse or disclosure of confidential information. Very tightly related to that is also the issue of data protection and privacy risks, of course. That's, for example, concerns related to potential unauthorized access or sharing or misuse of personal or sensitive data that you could be sharing with the AI application. Another issue, of course, is the fact that some providers also use the data that you give them to actually train their model. So this is the whole thing that you could misuse data that could be private or confidential also to train generative AI models or to share your own internal kind of trade secrets with the model. And on top of that, one other thing that has kind of also drawn a lot of media attention is the issue of hallucinations, right? Because whenever you use tools that are especially out of the box tools like ChatGPT, you're not really sure where the information comes from when you're asking a question. And I think I've tried to do it, maybe other people have as well, but when you try to push to get the resources and the reference because it wants to please you and to give you a good sounding kind of answer, would even make up and give you fake results and fake citations. And I think we had a very famous case in the US with a lawyer that was citing in his legal memo on completely fake cases, and not only in the US. Like, I've heard of cases like that throughout Europe. I think in South Africa they had a few as well. So it's becoming a thing where the issue there, and I think that's an important thing to talk about, is usually the lawyers actually in these cases didn't know that generative AI works in the way that it works, and that you cannot actually get trusted results, and that it's just based on the internet. So it was not done with intention, but still the results can be quite damaging, both for the reputation of the lawyer and for the clients and for their case. And this is to know that usually these risks, I mean, they're very, very important risks that we should think about and figure out how to assess. The greatest when using kind of out-of-the-box solutions. So when using kind of general tools, indeed, like ChatGPT, which is the most famous one, because there we know we have the hallucination issues, we have everything that you type in is being sent to OpenAI and it's being used to train their models. So in this case, especially if you want to implement tools in your own work, it's really important to use things that are kind of targeted to your workflow and that will address all of these concerns. And there are a lot of ways to do that. It's not that these are things that are just out there and they're impossible to tackle. I can give a few examples. If, let's say, we take the most important kind of issues, which is kind of the privacy and confidentiality risk, and then the hallucinations kind of risks. So to address, let's say, privacy and confidentiality, there are technical measures like data masking, for example, where kind of personally identifiable information or sensitive data is replaced, is kind of masked, so it's actually not sent to the LLM, and there is a placeholder kind of text that's being set instead. And when you get the answer, then you get actually the placeholder is replaced with the actual information and get the answer with the data, but nothing is really sent and shared to the LLM provider. So that's one way to address some of the privacy risks. And when it comes to hallucinations and getting kind of up-to-date information, because that's also something that general models are not really good at, the most useful kind of thing that you could do is use retrieval augmented generation, which is a specific technique that aims to increase the accuracy and the reliability of the results. So the logic there is that you do a context-specific kind of search and you get up-to-date data that's included in a specific database. So you first search and get the results from a database, and then you get an answer. Then you go to the model together with the resources and get an answer and a response based on that. So that really can increase the accuracy and can ensure that you kind of know where the resources come from. So that's kind of to show that there are ways to manage all of these risks, but maybe using the generic tools isn't the best thing that you can do if you want to include it in legal practice.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. Yes, I think one of the main tips you're providing that is very useful is just look for tailored type of solutions that are made exactly for what you need. And where probably in the background you have someone that has been working in the sector and knows the risks related, to certain type of informations and their usage. And this is key because one of the main issues I've been witnessing whenever I was, checking new AI tools is often the lack of, privacy by design, meaning that there is not a real analysis and study of the risks related. So, they just create those tools without a clear understanding on where those data are going to be or how they are going to be handled, and which are even the sources that on the other side, you're going to use to provide certain type of information. Those are all things that are essential. And of course, someone that wants to work in a certain field specifically is much more attentive to care of instead of general tools like ChatGPT you were mentioning. And I think in this regard, one of those interesting new solution is what you have created together with CuratedAI. So I would also like to ask you your own experience in the field. So can you tell us a bit more on what you do and you have been doing so far with CuratedAI?
Of course, with pleasure. So what we're doing is we're creating a generative AI assistant that's specifically for European data protection and technology law and for legal professionals. So we do actually use the retrieval augmented generation that I just told you about in order to make sure that whenever a user kind of asks questions, we query a database of specific official legal documents in the field, and then we give answers and allow you to kind of create new content based only on these resources. And we also give you references for everything, so you can go ahead and double check. So the whole idea is to give you a ChatGPT-like interaction, but indeed while addressing some of these risks that we already mentioned and providing you a secure database on which you can do your research. And in particular, what we allow you to do is to kind of extract information, make comparison with, for example, new legislative proposals. So let's say the Data Act, the AI Act that are coming in. We also help you extract information, find or even draft new information based on guidelines, based on existing judgments. So everything that you have kind of on an EU level in the area we have, and we allow you to kind of interact with. And this is just the starting point. I mean, we started quite recently, so we're still very much building what we're doing, and we're still very much collecting feedback and trying to make it kind of as useful as possible. And one of the things that a lot of people told us is actually the biggest pain is being able to search across different national legislation or DPA opinions, guidelines, and decisions. So the next thing that we're going to focus on is to kind of allow you to do this like multi-language search on national resources. So the idea is you speak Italian, but you really want to know what the German and the French DPAs are saying, so you can in your own language kind of ask that and search and get the information that you read in a kind of a ready to use. And if the listeners or the viewers want to see kind of what we're doing, we're going to do a demo of the tool on the webinar that you kindly mentioned in the beginning to show kind of what we have right now and what can be developed. We're out there and we're open for now for anyone who wants to try. So if people are curious, I think we're gonna have again in the description like a link so you can go ahead and giving a test, because we're also really curious to see what people think about this. But I'm kind of creating something that I know I would use, so I'm happy to always hear other opinions and to kind of tailor it so it's the most useful thing that we can do for lawyers.
Perfect, Siyanna. Thanks a lot. I already tested it a bit and I found it extremely interesting, and that's why I invited you here today. But of course, we will provide the link in the description as well, and invite everyone to use and to jump in and text you for this. We are running out of our time, so I would like to thank you very much for being with us today. Looking forward to the next episode together with you all. Thanks again, Siyanna, and bye everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.